Welcome to The Next Revolution. I'm Steve Hilton. This is the home of positive populism, pro-worker, pro-family, pro-community, and especially pro-America. Look what we've seen the past few weeks. Adam Toledo, aged 13, shot and killed in Chicago. Micaiah Bryant, aged 16, shot and killed in Columbus, Ohio. Anthony Thompson, 17, shot and killed in Knoxville, Tennessee. These terrible stories have been used as fodder for the only debate the left seems to want these days, about race. But we need to stop and think about what we're really seeing. There's no conceivable reason for a 13-year-old to be wandering the streets at 2:40 a.m. with a gun, for a 16-year-old to be screaming and fighting in broad daylight, armed with a knife, for a 17-year-old to hide a gun in his hoodie at school. None of us is a perfect parent in a position to judge. Life is incredibly tough for many people. But there's something going terribly wrong in America. It's so deep and so personal and makes many people so uncomfortable that we just ignore it. But it's not going away. The problem is getting worse. The problem, the crisis, is the collapse of family in America. You see it in those stories. You see it in the numbers. Where we once talked about divorce and family breakup, today families are not even being formed in the first place. Our marriage rate is at its lowest ever recorded. Nearly a quarter of American children live with one parent and no other adult, more than 3 times the rate in the rest of the world. In 2019, 40% of children were born outside marriage. Nearly 500,000 American children are in foster care without either parent. 500,000! You see the consequences all around us, not just those in gangs or mixed up in crime and disorder, but an everyday, everywhere collapse of civilized standards, coarse, aggressive, rude, disrespectful behavior. Children addicted to phones and screens at an earlier and earlier age, incapable of forming real, healthy human relationships. It is a social and economic disaster. It's an economic disaster because we know that a stable family makes a huge difference to life chances and opportunity. If you're born in the bottom 20% of the income scale, your chances of reaching the top 20% are 4 times higher if your parents stay married. Your chances of staying in the bottom 20%, if your parents never married, it's 50-50. But if your parents are married, it drops to just 17%. Marriage makes a massive difference in keeping families stable. On average, if parents are married, 3/4 are still together by the time their child is 12. If they're just living together, it's only a quarter. The normalization of broken families is a social disaster too, because substance abuse, mental illness, and crime are all more common in disrupted families. This is not moralizing, it's the facts, the data. Remember how we're told to follow that? Not when it comes to the issue of family, it seems. No one wants to talk about it because family breakdown and families not being formed in the first place is just so widespread. People don't want to seem judgmental. But actually, the liberal elite are judgmental. They look down their noses at the prioritization of stable families. Even if it comes from Obama, when he dared talk about the importance of strong families, he was slammed by the left. Of course, not every child of married parents is guaranteed a perfect life, but we've shown you the facts. Marriage is statistically better for children, better for society than the alternative. A lot better. Yet for decades, the establishment has pushed policies in the tax and welfare systems that undermine marriage and family stability. And Biden's recent bailout bill, well, it more than doubled payments to single parents. The elite reject all this by saying it's crazy to argue that people make these decisions based on financial incentives. But if financial incentives make no difference, why do they want subsidies for electric cars or solar panels or all the other things they want more of? Well, if you care about poverty, inequality, social mobility, crime, substance abuse, mental health, as we have comprehensively established with the data, you should want to see more stable families, which means more marriage. So let's incentivize that for goodness sake. Is there anything more deserving of subsidy? As with so many things with the establishment, their furious opposition to policies that promote family stability is the most enormous hypocrisy, because there is actually one part of our society where family stability is going up, not down, where marriage rates are increasing, not falling. Yep, among the rich and educated. And in fact, there's another place marriage is increasing. Gay and lesbian Americans are getting married. I think that's great. It's a vote of confidence in one of the institutions conservatives most cherish. So I've always been for marriage equality. In fact, I believe in marriage equality so much, I even think straight people should get married if they want to raise a family. The marriage problem in America is not that gay people aren't getting married, it's that straight people aren't. We must rebuild the American family, and that starts with marriage. Raising a family is hard. As Tim Scott said this week, single parents do a heroic job, but it's not a criticism of single parents to state plainly that it's better for a child to be raised by two parents, not one. So first, we must end the insanity of incentivizing single parenthood. It's great to see a number of Republican senators are working on plans to do just that, and one of them, Marsha Blackburn, will be here tonight. Then we must positively encourage marriage like they do in other countries. In Israel, certain tax credits are only available to adults who are married. In Japan, couples can get over $5,000 for getting married. In Hungary, which has recently become a world leader in pro-family policy, new couples can get subsidized loans which are completely forgiven if they have 3 children together. And here, Senator Josh Hawley has a parent tax credit plan that gives married couples an extra $6,000 a year. But it'll take more than financial incentives to rebuild the American family. One of the reasons marriage rates have collapsed in working class communities is the destruction of steady jobs for men. So we need to stop the college for all elitism, given another disastrous push by Biden this week, and divert much of the money we currently put into higher education into skills-based vocational training. Boosting that was a huge, untold success story of the Trump administration, by the way, an effort led by Ivanka Trump, who was also behind the most pro-family move by any administration in decades, the Trump administration's expansion of family leave. That's so important because research shows that stressful times like having a newborn in the house are when most breakups happen. Family, relationships, parenting, it's the most important thing we ever do, and it's ridiculous that there's so little help on offer. It doesn't need to be the nanny state. Local community organizations, faith groups, they can play a much bigger role. The Democrats want government to play a much bigger role. Just listen to this from Biden's domestic policy chief, Susan Rice, last week. Quote, "We want parents to be in the workforce, especially mothers." Oh, do you, Susan Rice? Well, who made you the boss of every mother in America? According to recent research, most mothers actually don't want to be in full-time work. They'd rather be full-time parents or doing part-time work. The point is, it should be their choice, not Susan Rice's choice. Raising kids is contributing to the economy. It's the most important work anyone can do. And we should reward it, not punish it, or try and make parents who stay at home second-class citizens. And no, this doesn't mean women in the kitchen and men as breadwinners. A third of wives out-earn their husbands. Each family is different, and they should decide. But the